Okay. Okay, so perfect. So really, we're like, I think on our third class on the Kriya Shema al Hamita, the bedtime Shema. And when you look at the bedtime Shema, the two major features of the bedtime Shema, like, somebody came over to me to ask me a good question. They said, like, what if you're like really tired and you're not a good reader? This is really hard for you. What is it that you would have to say? What you really have to say for this bedtime Shema is really that bracha, Hamapil, where it says, let's look at, I'm using this, okay? So when you look at this, Hamapil is, first we did that whole part about, please forgive me and forgive everybody, right? And then you see right after that, there's a bracha that says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu. Do you see that? Melech ha'olam hamapil chevlei sheina al einai, which is like, you're blessing Hashem, which we're going to discuss, like this whole idea of making a bracha for sleep. It's like a really interesting idea. So you're making this bracha for sleep, right? That is the most important part of this Kriya Shema al Hamita, along with the Shema itself, okay? Now, here we're saying that one first paragraph of the Shema, okay? The rabbis will tell you, if you can say all three paragraphs of Shema, that's like super duper. But for us right now, let's concentrate on what we really can do. Like, I think that's the most important part. So best if you said the whole card. That's really the best. You know what I mean? And you'd be surprised, like, if you can't say it in Hebrew, you could say it in English. You'd be surprised, like, it goes pretty quick. It's not as lengthy as it looks. So that's number one. If you don't feel like you can manage the whole card, sometimes like you're really exhausted, it's really a long day, oh my gosh, I can't, please, then the only two parts you really have to say are the bracha, Baruch atah Hashem, right? And the Shema itself. And that would be actually considered enough. So what I want to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and we're actually going to read together a couple of the laws involved in this. And I'm just going to write your name down quickly, because what I want to do is send people, you know what I mean, who are here, the sheet, because it's good for you to have it. You know what I mean? So I'm just writing the names down really quick. Okay.
So Gail,
yeah.
So I don't do the Hamapil on purpose because we're not allowed to talk after.
Okay, so now I'm going to teach you this. This is such a misnomer. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, like, I did that too for years and years and years and years and years. And now we are going to learn the real halakha behind this, okay?
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah, it's a game changer, ladies, a game changer. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so do you see this? Does everybody see this? I'm never so amazing with this stuff. Yeah, is this good? Can you see it? Okay, so you have to make it bigger. Like if I make it now, yeah, that's better. Okay, so let's go through this whole, like, kind of sentence by sentence, because it's very important. Like I really want you all to have an opportunity to learn this. So I am trying to move us a little bit out of the way so we'll be able to read better. Okay, so here, Hamapil. So this is the bracha. It starts off, who casts the bonds of sleep upon my eyes, in slumber upon my eyelids. We're going to learn the bracha, like what all the words mean. We'll do that after. But first, let's just learn a little bit about the halacha, the laws around it, okay? So Sandy, can you read? Where's Sandy? I just lost you, Sandy. Okay, so you have to unmute.
Okay, and what am I reading? English or
yes, right here. Do you see where what I'm sharing on the screen?
Okay, this blessing should be recited along with Hashem's name, like all other blessings.
Okay, so what does that mean to everybody? What does that mean to you, Sandy?
That we have to be respectful when we say it, and we have to have our thoughts in it when we say it.
Right, and we're going to use Hashem's real name. This is a real bracha. Okay, next. I want you to read a couple more and then we'll take turns. But read the second one also.
We have also explained that although one should preferably take care not to speak at all following the bedtime Kriyat Shema, so as not to interrupt between reciting it and going to sleep, nevertheless, if one did in fact speak, one should not repeat the blessing, and the blessing one has already recited is not a blessing in vain.
Okay, so everyone got that idea, because so many people have been told not to say Hamapil. So many women I know, so many people don't say it because they have this thing about, oh, I'm going to have to talk. So what's it saying here? You don't want to talk. You don't want to go out of your way to talk, because really what you're doing now is making a bracha. Wait, let me see. I think, yeah, somebody wanted to come in. What you're doing right now is you're making a bracha saying, Hashem, thank you so much. You're putting me to sleep. And my intention here is to go to bed. But sometimes things can come up, right? Sometimes yeah.
Very often things come up. I don't always say it just before sleep, because sometimes I may be reading or watching TV or
okay. So you should do it at the end of your reading, at the end of watching TV.
But
okay,
I fall asleep while I'm doing.
Okay, so then you gotta, you have to think about that. Okay, so before you go to bed, this is the last thing you do. So you shut the TV off and then you say it. Okay, you're going to read it as we go on. It's going to give you even more of an understanding, and it'll address the question you just asked me. Okay, but what is it saying? You would not have to repeat the bracha, and the bracha is not invalid because you spoke. Okay, so now Sandy, read 3.
The reason for this is because the essence of this blessing does not relate to the personal sleep of the individual reciting it. Rather, it relates to the behavior and nature of mankind who go to sleep at night.
Right, like we're actually, which sounds very interesting. Like, to me, this is such a phenomenal idea. I don't think we ever thought about it. Have you ever thought about the fact that we thank Hashem for sleep? Like, we have to, you know what I mean? Like, we thank Hashem for so many things. Like, we thank Hashem for waking us up, but we never thought about, like, anybody here ever have trouble sleeping? I have a lot of trouble sleeping. Like, I have to take all these different, melatonin and this and that. I never had it when I was younger, but like now with, I guess post menopause and post all these different things, right? So, and there's a lot of bracha in sleep, besides the fact that sometimes like it's hard to fall asleep, but sleep, what's the blessing of sleep? Tell me what you think the blessing of sleep is.
Your body regenerates itself.
Yes. So it's very funny in our perspective. Not only the body regenerates itself, what else regenerates?
The mind.
The mind, which is really representative of the
Soul.
We say the soul's going up to Shemayim. So we're really thanking Hashem. Like, he's giving this chance for us to restart the battery. Okay, beautiful. So now, so the reason we understood. So the reason is we're actually, it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah for us to be grateful for this reality called sleep. Okay, on many, many fronts. And we're going to learn some more. So now, Sarah, are you there? Sarah, you can unmute.
Yeah, I
Okay.
hope. Yes, I unmuted.
Okay,
I'm sorry I'm late.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so happy just to see you here. So could you read number 4?
Women who recite the bedtime Kiryat Shema have all night to say it.
Right. So like, sometimes people would think, well, is this a mitzvah that is obligated by time? Well, not really. Everybody has, read number 5 also. Sarah, read number 5 also.
Women have to go to bed too.
Yeah, so it's, so we have to say this Kriya Shema also. Like, it's not something that women should just take lightly. Like, this is your mitzvah. Okay, number 6. Sarah, please read number 6 also.
They are likewise obliged to recite the Hamapil blessing, for this blessing is not considered a positive time-bound mitzvah, such as the mitzvot of shofar, sukkah, lulav, etc.
Right, like this is a mitzvah that you have all night to do, right? Women should do it. They also go to bed. This is something that we do all the time. And that's what we have to take this into our head. And so therefore, you have this whole big giant card. You don't have to say the whole thing if it's too much for you. Obviously, better too, but if you can't, you're too tired, you're too this, you're too that, then you say these 2 parts, Hamapil and Kriya Shema. Okay, number, Amitai, can you read number 7 for us? Are you good? Can you, are you unmuted? No, I still hear you.
Can you put the screen a little up?
Yeah, I'm gonna try, because I'm also finding, okay, wait 1 second. Okay, and now let's see. Nope. Okay, how do you get this to go up?
Go down. Yeah.
Go down.
Okay. Maybe,
Yeah. There we
yes.
go. There we go.
Oh,
Good.
that's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Rather, it is a blessing of praise to Hashem that in essence applies at all times. However, since people do not usually sleep at all times, this blessing is not recited during the day.
They haven't met me. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but is anybody else falling asleep all the time? Okay. So, all right. So this is a blessing that, in other words, you should be grateful for sleep all the time. Like it's something that we should have in our consciousness, but reality is people go to sleep at the night. Okay. So that was 7. Now number 8. Okay. So read number 8.
In any event, women are obligated to recite this blessing before going to sleep.
Good. Okay. I just have to give the biggest shout out to Debbie. I am so happy to see you. I love you and I missed you. Mwah. So that's my blowing my kiss to you. Okay. So now number 9, we're just learning about Kriya Shema and we're learning the Halakhas. Okay. So
Our sages
mhm.
explained that the words "when we lie down and when we rise up" is a charge to recite the Shema every morning and evening.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Shema is a very important part of Judaism. Shema is when you say that, first of all, it's a mitzvah. The Torah tells you you have to say Shema. This is something, it's a mitzvah obligated on all of us. And it's a mitzvah that says, right, you should teach it to your children when you're on the way, when you wake up, when you go to sleep. So this is what we're trying to do. So even if we say women do not have to say Shema, right, because it's a very time-bound mitzvah, a woman, no matter what, should say the 6 words of Shema. Okay, let's say you don't daven anything, you don't open your siddur, you're really busy, and the Torah tells you a woman doesn't have to do that. You do have to say Shema once in the morning and once in the evening. Okay, so those 6 words, Shema Yisrael Shemokenu, you know, really, if you're saying it alone, you would really say Kel Melech Ne'aman, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuso Le'olam Vo'ed, and you are complete in what you had to do. Okay, so that's what we're saying here. Now, number 10. Okay, Leora, could you read?
To summarize, in accordance with the enactment of the Chachamim, it is necessary to recite the paragraph of Shema and Birkat Hamapil before one goes to sleep, but the remaining psalms are not an obligation.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So the rest of the card, it's a beautiful thing for you to do. You know, you're asking for Hashem's protection. You want to talk about it. You want to feel his comfort. We always said the nighttime is a scary time. It's a time of danger physically, a time of danger in your thoughts, and it's a time of danger for your soul. We say there's all kinds of shadim and all kinds of different negative spiritual energies, right? So we're saying no matter what, it's a beautiful thing to say, right? And we should do it. But if you don't have the time or you can't get through the whole thing, the only thing you really have to say is the paragraph of the Shema and the Birkat and the bracha of Hamapil. Okay, so 11. All right, Gabriella, you want to read? Yeah?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, no
I had to
problem.
unmute.
Yes.
Okay, 11. The minhag to recite them became widespread because of the custom of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi.
Okay.
See Magen Avraham 2392.
Okay. Now 12.
There are those who are strict to recite Birkat Hamapil immediately before they sleep, after reciting Shema and all the other verses. However, according to the custom of the Kabbalists, Birkat Hamapil precedes Shema and the other verses.
Okay, so this is important. Okay, this is important because I bet you have different, you know, some people have this card, some people have a different siddur, some people have different things. If you look at this card, it's very interesting. So this card, it says the Hamapil precedes the Shema. Right?
Right.
So what did we say? That's according to the Kabbalists. But many places, the Hamapil is the very last thing. Why is it in some ways better if Hamapil is the very last thing? Why would you
Then you'd
think?
be more inclined to read everything because you were getting there.
Okay, that's a very good answer. I never thought about that answer. Okay, that's a very good answer. Very good answer.
If you're saying everything out loud, then you're still talking afterwards. Is that-
Okay, well, davening out loud is never considered real talking, but it's a good idea because, you know, most likely you're going to be more tired, you'll fall asleep, less chance of you talking. You know what I mean? It's almost like the last thing that I'm saying for today, and then I'm putting myself to bed. But again, okay, let's move on and let's see again how we're going to talk about if we do have to talk or we do have to do something, it's okay. And it doesn't negate the fact that we said Kriya Shema and it doesn't make it in vain, which I think is such an important thing. Okay, so Debbie, you want to read 13?
After a long day. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, good.
Okay. One who is concerned that he will fall asleep while reciting the prayers or before concluding them should start with Shema and Hamapil, thereby ensuring that that before he falls asleep, he recites the passages instituted by Chazal.
Okay, so that's a kind of an answer a little bit Sandy to what you were saying. Do you know what I mean? Like if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep, I'm not going to make it, then say the Shema and the Hamapil first, right? And then you know you've done what you had to do. And if you end up falling asleep after that, it's not like you missed saying Kriya Shema.
No, I'm falling asleep while I'm watching TV or I'm reading. So that's why I say the Shema before, so that when I fall asleep, I know that I've said the Shema. But now I can't do that.
Okay, wait. No, rewind. You say Shema and Hamapil.
And then I read a little bit and I doze, like I fall asleep, or or I listen to something on my phone or something after I've said that.
Okay, so no, that's
Asleep.
different. Sorry, I'm very sorry, Sandy. I made a mistake. I misunderstood what you meant. I thought you meant that you do things that have to do with talking. You don't. So people will do what you said. People will do what you said because a lot of people will not automatically fall asleep after Shema and Hamapil. Like a lot of people need help to unwind. That's what you're saying,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
you say Shema Hamapil, and then you're still working on unwinding while you're laying down.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So fine. Because look, when you look at 14, Leora, maybe you'll read again. Look at 14. I'm sorry, I'm not picking on other people. I just don't see your names. Okay. So read 14 again.
Regarding the recital of Hamapil, some are concerned that perhaps they will not fall asleep and their bracha will have been said in vain.
So now read 15.
However, in practice, the fact that the Chachamim instituted reciting Hamapil means that they are not concerned about this.
Okay, go ahead, 16.
The blessing is a thanksgiving bracha to Hashem about sleep, and even for a person who does not succeed in falling asleep, the expression of thanks is not made in vain.
Okay, so that's, I think, important for a lot of us. So again, let's go back. Sandy is correct. Okay, we're not going to jump out of bed and try to do a whole bunch of things. If you don't say Shema Hamapil and then you go, let me exercise and let me go to Sobeys and let me do this and let me do that. What Sandy is doing is trying to be in the vein of falling asleep. Now, for some of us, we really have a hard time and we toss and we turn, right? You're not falling asleep for the next 2 hours, right? Then you find you have to get up and you go to the bathroom and then you want to take a drink. Like there's so many different realities here. So what's going on here? The Chachamim are saying, listen, that's okay, because you are thanking Hashem just for this reality that's called falling asleep, right? That just thanking Hashem that the night comes, things wind down, body slows down, right? And has to rejuvenate. Okay, 17. Okay, so Barb, can you read 17?
Still, the Chachamim institute the recital of this bracha for those who intend to sleep, and therefore one who has no intention of sleeping does not recite the Hamapil on that particular night.
Okay, so let's say there's somebody who has a flight, right? And they're saying, you know what? I don't want to go to bed at all. I'm not going to bed at all, right? Then I'm not going to recite Hamapil. So forget it. You know what I mean? Like I'm just staying up all night, then you're not going to make this bracha Hamapil. Okay, you still would maybe say Kriya Shema. You would still could say the Shema part, but you're not going to say the Hamapil part. So a lot of people who, okay, go ahead. Like I know people who did not say Hamapil because of this whole business with the talking, and now you see that that is not the case. Okay, so Sonora, you want to read 18?
The Hamapil blessing is not recited on daytime sleep, although some say that it is good to say Vehi Noam before a nap taken during the day.
Yeah, so you'll see when we're looking in the card, it's one sentence. It's just a beautiful sentence. So what are they saying? Like if you could memorize this one sentence before you go to sleep. And you know what's interesting? This one sentence, if you remember, any of us who do the challah baking, it's very interesting. Before that like prayer we say for the challah baking, we say this. It's so funny. Like you say this whole thing about this Yehi Ratzon, about doing the challah, and then after that you say, and let the pleasantness of my master, our God, be upon us and establish our hands upon us and establish it the work of our hands. Okay, so I don't know the depth of it. When we get to it, we'll learn more. But right now, I can't give you the deeper explanation of what these words mean. Okay, so let's go over again. We're going to go to take a nap. We are not saying Hamapil. We're not saying Hamapil for a daytime sleep. So if anybody here is like planning to stay up all night long, okay, then you would not say Hamapil. Okay. Now,
can I ask you something? Sorry.
Sure.
So if you're on an aeroplane on an overnight flight, chances are you sleep 2.5 hours if you're lucky. So you would say it though.
Yes.
I think.
If you would really be like, let's say when I go to Israel, like you're intending right now, you'll even take a sleeping pill. It's the nighttime and you go, okay, I'm taking it. I'm going to bed now and hopefully sleep for 7 hours because I took that sleeping pill. Yes, we should. Yeah. Okay. Yes, we should. Okay. So now. Okay, so Helene, can you read 23 for a minute?
Okay, sure.
Thanks.
A person who went to sleep at night after reciting Hamapil arose later to attend to certain matters and then went back to sleep does not repeat the Hamapil blessing, since Hamapil is only recited once a night.
Okay, so that's important. Right, because let's say people have to go to the bathroom. You get up when you go to the bathroom, right? You're half asleep, okay, and then you come back. So the Torah is telling you one Hamapil is enough. Okay, you don't have to keep going, saying the Kriya Shema again. Okay, so I think that's like a very important point. Okay, so Helene, please to continue.
Gail, if you go to the bathroom every time you go, you still say
Asher Yatzar.
Asher Yatzar.
Yes.
And then you can go back to sleep.
Right. Okay, so now let's see 24. Yes, please.
Okay, one who fell asleep without reciting Hamapil and woke up in the middle of the night with the intention to continue sleeping must recite the bracha before falling asleep again.
Okay, so Sandy. In case you don't say it first, you watch TV, you read your book, okay, out you went, right? Then you woke up, look what happens. Okay, so I'm so glad you asked that question. Okay,
but I'm also really glad that all I have to say is the Hamapil and the Shema.
Like, yeah,
everything at that point is very difficult.
Okay, good. So I'm glad I'm so happy we learned this. Okay, 26. Okay, I don't know who I didn't pick on yet because I can't.
Oh, you skipped 25.
Oh, I skipped 25. Okay, even better. Okay, so now because you said that, you have to read it.
Okay. You don't threaten me. If he does not wish to get up from his bed and wash his hands, he may rub his hands on his blanket and then recite it, Shulchan Aruch, okay? Unlike Piskei Tshuvot, who maintains that washing one's hand is a requirement.
Okay, so that's interesting. So let's say the person fell asleep, very interesting idea. So you see the Shulchan Aruch tells you, okay, so the person fell asleep without saying Hamapil. Now they woke up. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. I didn't say Hamapil and I want to go right back to sleep. He's too tired. So he's saying you could actually rub your hands on the blanket. There are other people who would say you'd have to get up and wash Nagelwasser and then do it. Very interesting. Okay, so now Janet, you didn't tell me I didn't pick on you. Okay, now 26. Okay.
After reciting Shema and Hamapil, whoever must talk, eat, drink, or tend to an urgent matter is permitted to do so, since Birkat Hamapil is unlike Birkat Hanehenin.
Yes, okay, I'll explain to you. Go ahead.
Concerning which it is forbidden to interrupt between the bracha and the pleasure derived. Rather, it is a bracha of praise on the night's sleep.
Okay, so here is where I think we all went wrong. Like I remember for years, I have to be honest, I never said Birkat Hamapil because I was always worried about this concept that you can't talk. But here's what it's explaining to you. Okay, so after reciting Shema and Hamapil, whoever must talk. So we're not saying we're going out of our way to have conversations. Okay, but let's say, like, look at this. You know, let's say you are, what's it called? Your baby's crying. Okay. How many people remember doing this? It was a total waste of time. But anyway, your baby's crying and you try to wake your husband up. Okay. You're saying, get up, the baby's crying. Okay. So you must talk. All right. So that doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, because what happens? Let's say that's the problem when we do the Omein night. What do we stress when we do the Omein night? A person makes a bracha. What do I say to everybody? Unmute and tell me.
Amen.
No, you've made the bracha. What do I want everyone to do immediately? I made a bracha.
Eat the fruit or
Eat the fruit.
Because if you talk, it's considered an interruption. That means you have to repeat the bracha. Do you see what I'm saying? So here, this isn't that kind of a bracha. It seems when you make a bracha for something that's pleasurable, you need to experience the pleasure. When you make a bracha for shaking a lulav, you can't talk because now you've made a bracha and now you have to do the action that you made the blessing for. But here, the only action you're doing is thanking Hashem for sleep. Because you know why? We can't make ourselves go to sleep on a dime. You actually really need Hashem's help to help you sleep. Like, it's an interesting idea, okay? Okay, so now we got it. Yay! Okay, now look at this, because people also wonder, how do you say the Shema? Like, in what position are you when you say the Shema? These are like really interesting. I mean, I don't know, I found this all very interesting. I hope everybody else does. Okay, so let's read. Who's gonna read? Barb, you read, okay? Okay, so how do we say the Shema? Which position are we in? Okay, go ahead.
27.
Yes. You have to unmute. Barb, unmute. Okay, Barb, unmute.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Oh. One may recite the passage of the bedtime Shema while lying down, but must be careful to lean on his side. There are a number of reasons why the Chachama prohibited a man to sleep while lying on his back. Mishnah, Beharat 239.6. However, before one sleeps, a man is permitted to read a book while lying on his back, and it is unnecessary for him to turn on his side. Only when he is about to fall asleep must he beware of lying on his back.
Okay, so there's many reasons for that. Okay, so I'm assuming that people can figure this out. Okay, all right, but it's better, right, for a man to, so let's say this is the men's story. Let's look at the women's story. Okay, so if you're going to say Kriya Shema Al Hamita, they say it's more, what's the word? For women, it's more respectful to be kind of leaning on your side. That's what they say. So you're turned more on the side, not like you're just reading a book casually, not like, you know what I mean? Like you've got a thought process here of how I am saying Kriya Shema. I want you to know there are some people who will say it's sitting up, and some people will actually say it's standing. So it's just interesting for us to know, like,
so that they don't fall asleep.
And that could very well be, you know, that, like, I would not be surprised if that's one of the reasons. Like,
So is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, like to
Aside
show.
from respect.
Yeah, it is okay. And you can say it lying on your back. Okay. Now
And
you
it's sitting up.
Okay, so yeah, I can do it sitting up, lying on your back. If you're not dressed so incredibly tznius, you know, Lily, you should cover yourself with your blanket. You know, like a lot of us have tznius pajamas, long sleeves, and then you have your blanket over you. But if you're wearing, like, you know what I mean, then you should be covered up a little bit, okay? Not a little bit, you should be covered up. So this is all good, beautiful. I'm so happy with this information. Okay, 28. Okay, we're at the very end here. Karen, you just came on. I am so happy to see you. I love my Karen. Are you there, Karen?
Yes,
Good. Could you read just this part? So the word here is the Bali Musar. So here, if you could just read this.
you know what? I'm just on my tiny phone and I
So
can't
you
see it.
cannot read it. You cannot see it. So, but thank you anyway for trying. And let me see who else I could. Oh, okay. So Helene, I'm just picking on you again. Okay, sorry.
Okay, no problem. The Bar Musar, Jewish ethics, who composed books of reproof for the nation, wrote that it is good for a person to make a personal accounting, cheshbon nefesh, before sleep. If he remembers snoring,
Sinning.
if he remembers if he remembers sinning, he confesses his sin and takes it upon himself not to sin in that matter again. It is also proper that before going to sleep, every person forgives anyone who sinned against him or caused him harm, so that no one is punished because of him. By doing so, one merits long life. Mishnah Brura 239.9.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so here's what the Bali Musar is saying. So let's go back. So if you say the whole card, you know that you're going to be able to say this concept of forgiving. But let's say we go back and we say, you know, we can't. We're only going to say Hamapil and the Shema. So what's the Mishnah Brura saying? Even in your own mind, do a cheshbon hanefesh. Like, look at yourself, look at your day, and say, you know what, I made some silly mistakes. I didn't prioritize properly, or I didn't, like, there's a lot of things that we could have done. You know, I really shouldn't have said this about someone. I shouldn't have got into that conversation. It was sort of silly. You know, tomorrow, I'm going to take upon myself to be more conscious. I'm going to be more aware. Hashem, please don't, you know, punish me, don't punish anyone. Like, I'm going to try my best. I'm a work in progress and I want to make some progress, right? And the same thing, you know what? There's a lot here about if you go to sleep with a lot of, you know, weight on your mind. I don't know who to mute, that somebody has to be muted, but if you go to sleep with a lot of this like weighty stuff of the whole day, this one said this to me and this one said that to me, you're not going to be able to even fall asleep. Right? Like the Torah is trying to tell you, like, sleep is to rejuvenate yourself. So it isn't a good place to put in a lot of, you know, turning over the whole day and never letting things go. So the Torah is telling you before you go to bed, like, forgive people, forgive everyone. And what will be the end? That you will have a long life. And not only will you have a long life, you'll have a good life. Long is not necessarily a bracha. Right? Right? We want to have a good long life. Okay, beautiful. So this is what so I was going to I'll try to send this out to people. I could maybe just send it out as a big, broad email. I'll do it. I'll say this goes along with the what's it called? With the,
Attention.
okay. With the tape. Okay, so someone just sent me on the chat a very good question. Are we actually allowed to keep this card in our bedroom? Yes, you can. Should it be in a drawer if you want it to be, or it could be respectfully in your bedroom? If you want, put it in a drawer. Probably a drawer is better. You're right. Probably a drawer is a better place to keep it. So you
Or
keep it.
put it in an envelope.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, perfect. It's a very good question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so now we're going to go. How do I unshare this? Okay, how do I unshare? Okay, how do I unshare? Someone help.
It says share screen, you just click it again.
You're sharing screen. Oh, stop share. How's about that idea? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so now I see you. Okay, so let's go into this and let's start to talk what the words mean. So first, like, we're going to just take a look at this, a more simple reality. We're going to read the words and then I'm going to give us more of a deeper understanding. So we're starting off with the bracha. Whoever has the card, okay, and remember, if you don't, I could put a bunch in my mailbox. Like if I had some people come and pick them up, so it's really been good, but I can pick up some more. Okay, so I'll read it in English a little bit. That will help us. Okay, so first of all, it starts off like any bracha. Baruch atah Hashem, right? Elokeinu melech haolam. Okay, so that's number one. So I want everybody here to give me a lowdown quickly on what those words mean, because you're saying those brachas a million times. We have to really know what the intent is when you say the word. So what does it mean when I say Baruch?
Blessed.
Blessed.
Okay, but what does that mean? Like, is God, can I give God a blessing? I mean, that's ridiculous. Okay, you know, bless God, come over here. I'll give you a blessing. Like, he's like, sure. Okay, so what's going on here?
We
So
acknowledge that God is blessed.
We acknowledge that God is the source of blessing. Okay, that's the way we look at it. We acknowledge that God is source of blessing. Brecha means like a wellspring. So we look at Hashem like all of the blessing of the world is coming from Him. When you acknowledge that blessing is coming from Hashem, that's how you open the spout. Okay, that's how you get blessing. Because you can't fool yourself and think it's coming from somewhere else. When you say to Hashem, Hashem, I recognize it's coming from you, then Hashem says, good. That's your job. That's how you open it up. If no one is recognizing it's from Hashem, then Hashem stays out of the, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't come into the picture. So when you say Baruch, you're inviting him in. What's so great about the fact that you say atah? What does atah mean?
You.
Yeah, so what kind of you is this? Usually when you're let me explain that. So let's say when my husband will call Rabbi Lowy, he will never say, hello, how are you? Like Mordechai, my Mordechai does not let Akiva say you to me. Akiva says, how is the booby? Which only makes me feel like 500 years old, but I go, yes, okay, I don't care. It's worth being 500 years old and respected. Okay, so do you see what's going on here? So this you is really very personal. It's really in first person. So when I'm going, Baruch, this is so smart. Baruch atah, I'm like talking to Hashem from the perspective of Avinu, which is my father. Right? So when you're a little kid and you want something, you run to your
father.
Yes, your father or mother, and you say, please, could you give me? Okay, so this is trying to show you like an emphasis on a really very personal connection to Hashem. Okay, so Baruch atah Hashem. Okay, what does Hashem mean? Which attribute of God?
Creator.
Which one?
The creator.
Well, yes, God that creates
kindness.
Yes, God of mercy. Okay. So, when you want to get something, you're looking for the mercy side, okay, of people. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu. Okay, what's Elokeinu? All powerful. Another word for the Almighty, right? Like Aisha Torah used to always like to call Hashem the Almighty. Okay. Had a different connotation. God has a little bit of a negative connotation, unfortunately, out there. So the Almighty, all powerful, Almighty. So it makes sense. Okay, so Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam. What does that mean?
King of the universe.
So why is it important to acknowledge God as King of the universe?
He has control over everything.
Yes, it controls. He has control. It reminds us. What else? Janet, you have to unmute.
He controls everything.
Right. So in other words, like, this is a very humbling experience, okay? Like, you're going up to Hashem and saying, guess what? I get it. There's nobody else who can do these things for me. So Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam. Now, what are we thanking him for doing, okay? So what do we say here? Who casts the bonds of sleep upon my eyes and slumber upon my eyelids. Okay, so it's a very interesting thing to say. Okay, so who casts, like casts is a very interesting word, and so is the bonds. All right. And what's also very nice here, what I do like here, what we're really going back to this concept of a very personal Hashem, like no one's going to be able to put me to sleep except for you. And why do I want Hashem, like, in my sleep reality? Why do I want Hashem in my sleep reality? Why do I want Hashem there? Why do I want, if anyone to put me to sleep, I want God to put me to sleep? Why?
Because I feel protected.
Yes, 100%. Because we said at night, things are very dangerous, right? Who's in charge of life and death? Hashem. So when you're going to sleep, you're going to you're experience 1/60th of death. So you're like, you're the one putting me under, you know what this is? Like Hashem is the great anesthesiologist. Anybody ever been in surgery? When they when I went to give my kidney, I thought it was like a football team. Like they were all like hovering over me and they're all like saying middle age, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wow, what's going on here? And then before you know it, you're out, right? So it's like, Hashem, you're the one who's putting me to sleep, right? And that's who I want. I want you, nobody else. Let you put me to sleep, okay? And it's very interesting because we talk about like Hashem putting us into a deeper sleep, closing my eyelids, the same thing you say in the morning. Just like you're saying now, close my eyelids, let me go to sleep. Then in the morning, you make this bracha. Thank you so much, Hashem, for opening my eyelids. A very interesting idea, okay? Okay, so let's see what it says here. So let's go what we're saying. So you cast the bonds of sleep upon my eyes, slumber upon my eyelids. I'm going to give you more as we continue speaking, but I'm just giving you a little bit of a brief overview here. May it be your will, Lord my God and God of my ancestors. It's always very beautiful when you talk to Hashem and you say my God, my eyes, my this, my that. Because why is that word my so special? My eyes, my this, my God. What am I saying when I'm saying that? Yeah, Barb, I hear you. I mean, you have to.
Sorry, it belongs to you. It's yours. It's
a very
personal.
Yes, excellent, Sandy. Excellent, Barb. Very, very strong personal connection. You're my God. There's 7 billion people on this planet. I don't know if we ever appreciate that.
And it's also our uniqueness.
Yes.
One of us is
beautiful, unique. Beautiful. It's my unique relationship with you. There's 7 billion other people, but I'm special in your eyes. You're special in my eyes. We have our own personal connection. Okay, that's huge. That's really a beautiful idea. Why would you also talk about your Hubi and Zaidi? It's an interesting idea. You're my God and the God of my ancestors. What am I trying to bring out here?
The unbroken lineage.
Okay. Unbroken chain. That's beautiful. The DNA.
God has a relationship with them and promises to them.
Yes.
Promises should come to us as well.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay. So many beautiful ideas here. So I want to tell you something that I learned today from this Yerachmiel Goldman, which I never realized. He said, every time that you say, it's good for all of us to know this, especially if your parents have passed on, you say Elokei Avos, and you really have in mind your parents. For a minute there, you stop and you say, yeah, you're the God of my God and the God of my parents. And, we were all trying to walk in your ways, Hashem. It's like an aliyah to their neshama. Isn't that a beautiful idea? It's a merit to their neshama. A beautiful idea. It's not, because it's true. You're actually acknowledging, they made me here and they helped me understand you and open to you, and you know what I'm saying? So it's a really beautiful idea that's an aliyah to their neshama. Okay, so now, of my ancestors, now this is a nice idea. You make me lie down in peace. So you know what, it's very nice. Hashem makes you lie down in peace because he guided you to this reality of forgiveness. That's a Torah concept, this concept of forgiveness. I don't know if we appreciate it, because if you really, it's hard. When you look at the news, you look at what's going on in the world, this we're living in really crazy times. You know what I mean? There's like no such thing as forgiveness. There's no such thing as like, no matter how many people will tell you this is the truth, people will never forgive the reality. Do you know what I'm saying? Like do you know what I'm trying to say? So we have to really appreciate this, like that we have this concept of forgiveness so we can go to sleep at night. Like the forgiveness is, the rabbi said it's this way, right? Hashem said you need to, that story we did on Shabbos, we did this like story on Shabbos and everybody I wanted people to guess which way it would go, right? So like, the halacha went that the person had to pay X, Y, and Z. That's how it goes. So then after that's done, I have forgiveness. Okay, so it's like really important. So we say like Hashem, put us down into a good sleep, all right? Like a peaceful sleep. And you're working with him on that one, okay? Now, I'm gonna just do this quick because sorry, I just lost my little spot in the English. Okay, now here we are.
How are you, love?
Okay, now lie down in peace
I'm on
and arise in
I'm
peace.
almost finished.
So I've really been thinking about this, and it is so true. Like I had this week, this really came very alive to me. The way you go to bed affects the way you get up the next day. Does anyone agree with me or not? Yeah, no doubt about it. So that's what's happening here. You're asking Hashem, put me down peacefully so that I can arise peacefully. Okay, let not my imagination, bad dreams or bad thoughts trouble me. So what we're talking about here is, remember we were talking about the different things that we said were opportunities of danger at the nighttime. So some of them are your thoughts. When you're alone with your thoughts, like it's scary. You can put yourself into some very bad thoughts and into very bad places. So, one of them is like, you start thinking, is there this? And, I don't know if God likes me and like, whatever, you can have your philosophical debates. Do you know what I mean? So you're like kind of asking Hashem, like, don't let me get into any deep, why'd you make me marry this guy? Why did this have to happen? Like, and then you just like build up this anger and this tension, like, Hashem, help me with my thoughts, right? And I don't want a bunch of fleeting thoughts. They call it monkey brain. You're sitting down. Oh, I didn't finish my report. Oh my gosh, I forgot about the carpool. Oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like you also, right? All this kind of stuff. Like it's so interesting how the Torah really gets you here, What else, right? Bad thoughts, like, start thinking about like the Torah is very real, right? You go to the mikvah. What's the bracha you say? I don't want to have eyes for anybody else. I don't want to go to sleep thinking about someone else. Not a good idea. I don't want to be intimate with someone dreaming about somebody else. Okay, that's what you're kind of saying even in this story too. Okay, so I don't want any of these like crazy thoughts. I don't want thoughts that will trouble me. All right, I want to be able to forgive people. I don't want to think about this one said this and that one said this and this and this. Okay, etc. Now here's a very interesting one. It talks about dreams. I don't want bad dreams. Anybody else know other places in the Torah where we talk about dreams? Where else in Torah do we say, Hashem, please, I don't want bad dreams? Anybody know what I'm talking about?
I don't know, was it Joseph when his dreams?
No, that's Joseph's story and it was a good guess, but I'm talking about there's other places when we are davening.
Probably.
Yes. Okay. Debbie. Perfect. So on Yantif, right? When the Kohanim are blessing us and they do that, like they have this like tune, I can't do it. Okay. They have this like toony thing that they sing. If you take a look, there's like this little paragraph that you are davening to Hashem about your dreams. Okay. So I'm going to read to you, like I actually wanted to understand this better. I've been wanting to understand this for a long time because it's a big bracha, like it's a big thing you're asking the Sihi Ratzon, and it's very lengthy, like Hashem, like if I had a bad dream, it shouldn't come true. And if I dreamt about somebody else and it's bad, it shouldn't come true. But if it's a good dream, it should come true. And then it gives you all these different examples of people. Okay. So what is the Torah's real view on dreams? Okay, and why would dreams play such an important role? Once upon a time, what was the way Hashem spoke to people?
Through dreams.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to realize that once upon a time, like people would work on themselves to a point that they had prophecy. Okay. The prophecy that you're used to thinking about or reading about is the prophecies that were put into the Torah and into the Tanakh, right? That big group of prophecies that related to the rest of history. But there was a time in the Jewish world where you could have 1 million people who could be prophets, people that you could go to and could look at you and could explain to you and look into your heart and see your neshama and give you advice. And like halavai, we had that today, like, that was a big loss. Like when they say like prophecy was lost from the Jewish people after the destruction of the temple, like we don't get it. We go like, oh, wow. But if you really think about it, it was a huge game changer in our lives and made the exile only that much more bitter, right? So for the most part today, because we do not have these prophets, dreams are meaningless, okay? What are they usually the result of? Okay, let's all be real. Anybody here have dreams? Okay, anybody here dream? Ever dream? Yeah, once in a while. Okay, so what do you dream? What do you dream about usually?
Things
that happen to you.
Yeah, like something that happened to you to the day, or you went to sleep thinking about somebody you haven't seen in a long time, or you want it also it says it comes from? Okay, let me tell you what it says. The results of thoughts during the day, sometimes stressful situations that you've been in, or wait till you hear this one, overeating. The Torah tells you in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, which I believe they tell you even now scientifically, overeating, because I think digestion takes so much energy that you can give you bad dreams. That's what the Torah, the Shulchan Aruch says. Somebody will come to you and say, oh, I had a bad dream. The rabbi will say, so what'd you eat last night? It's pepperoni,
I actually think it's when we eat late.
Yes, when you eat
Yeah, I
late.
think when we eat really late at night.
You also can have a bad dream. Okay, so you're going right with this. Only those who are extremely pious, okay, listen, with every moment of the day spent in divine service, can be sure that even in dreams, can be sure that even in dreams, when one does not have full control over one's faculties, there is a significance and meaning. So sometimes you'll hear stories, the Rambam, right? He really struggled with the concept of Tzaddik Ralo and Rasha V'Tov. Like he struggled a lot. Like he went into, it was the Ramban. I always get mixed up between the two names. The one who was the doctor is Rambam. Okay, so the one who was a doctor. So he had a brother who he really, really loved, and the brother died young. And it was like a tragic, I think it was an accident, like something on the sea, right? It was a really big tragedy. He went into a little bit of a depression. Okay, so it was really, really hard for him. So here's somebody who struggled. So he had a student who also was dying young, and he told the student, I can't live like this. I really need your help. When you go to the world to come, I want you to ask Hashem. It's a famous story, right? I want you to ask Hashem, why do good people suffer and bad people seem to be doing just fine over here? So, and he said, I need you to come to me in a dream. And so he did. So he said, so why? So he said, once I got up into Olam Haba, I had all the answers, but there was no questions. So I can't tell you. Okay, like I don't even know. He said everything had clarity. I don't even know about what's that question mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just an interesting idea. So for these kinds of people, right? Like they will tell you, you read these stories, you'll hear stories, right? The Vilna Gaon's wife, she had a good friend, a best friend, and they would do chesed all day together, all day long. These two women, they would help the poor and help the brides and that's all they did, devoted their lives to helping people. When the good friend was dying, she said, promise me when you get to the world to come, you'll tell me what it's like. And also she appeared to her in a dream, and she said, it's like, I just want you to know, like me and you, we share a pretty much the same kind of house. And I have a couple tchotchkes in my house and you have tchotchkes in yours, but I got one extra tchotchke. She said, what? She said, yeah, I got one extra tchotchke because when we were going to collect money, right? and there was a man across the street and we went, yoo-hoo, and the guy totally ignored us, but I put up my hand and went, hello, and I started waving my hand. For waving my hand and doing that little extra effort, my mitzvah got a couple extra air miles. Okay, so like, are those made up stories? They're not made up stories. They're not made up stories. I remember once there was a Lubavitch family, Lipsker, and the husband died a terrible tragedy, tragic death. And she said that the husband came to her in a dream and said to her, like, you have to stop, like, don't cry so much and it's all going to be good. And I believe it, like she publicized the fact. Do you know what I mean? And I certain people, like you can imagine, okay, so certain times we could believe that the dreams can have some kind of greater meaning. You know what I mean? People will tell you in the Holocaust how they saw like their parents and the parents said, move from this line. My aunt said that to me. She said somebody came to her in the Holocaust. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and she survived. She never could find the person again. She never saw them again. Do you know what I'm saying? So I guess in certain circumstances, you could really believe this depth in dreams. Generally speaking, for the average person, your dream is stress, something that happened in the day, overeating, okay, and thoughts, all right? All right. Okay, so the best remedy for a bad dream, ignore it, okay? In fact, don't get all riled up about it. And here's what you're saying to Hashem, like, if I had a bad dream, just let me go to sleep. Because sometimes, where's that bad dream really coming from? The Yetzer Hara. He wants you to fixate on the dream, like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna be? I can't believe I dreamt this. I saw that you were doing this. Right? So it's just a good idea. Okay, so we're going to stop now because we have a lot. Like, I'm really excited. Are you guys excited about this? Can you tell I am? Okay, I'm just very excited because we're learning so much new information. So I will stop the recording.